Here's the reason why organic fertilizer is completely useless in your containers and all the science behind it. And you can take this from someone with a bachelor's of science in soil science and from someone who has container gardening out her yin yang. Let's just say I tried a few things and failed a few things and succeeded at a few things. Problem uno is the microbial desert. And the microbial desert happens primarily in potting soils. The reason being is that potting soils have a low level of organic material in them. And by not a lot of organic material, I mean more so in the diversity of the organic material. They usually just have peat, coir, and maybe a little bit of compost mixed in. Number two is that our potting soils are generally meant for good drainage. And we often complain if they don't have good drainage. So high porosity mixes such as Sunshine Mix number 4, one of my favorites, or ProMix HP are great examples as something that has exceptional drainage, but that drainage means less water means less film means less homing, I guess, for lack of a better term, for microbes. Now, I'm not just spitting bars when it comes to that. Studies actually do show when we compare agricultural in-ground soil to potting soil, there's 3 main differences we see. Number 1, we see lower levels of nutrient cycling. Number 2 is we see lower enzyme activity. And number 3 is we actually see lower microbial diversity. And if you did not know, if you don't have enzyme activity, you don't have microbe activity, or you don't have a diverse number of microbes, you don't end up with nutrient cycling because different nutrients are cycled in different ways. For example, nitrogen on its own, just by itself, nitrogen is cycled by nitrifying and denitrifying bacteria. They do exactly what they say they're doing, and they do nothing else. They have nothing to do with any of the other 17 essential nutrients, which is why you need microbial diversity. When we say microbially diverse, we don't necessarily mean just different species doing the same thing. We mean quite literally microbes doing different roles, just like the world. So if we were to add organic material that plants don't eat directly. They don't eat bone meal. They don't eat feather meal. They don't eat blood meal. They don't eat compost. They eat the minerals that have been mineralized in those. And there's only so much bioavailable in each shot. If we add those and then we notice poor performance, poor growth, just lackluster results, then we add more, we end up in a self-sabotaging loop that does not help us in any capacity. And it actually just kind of makes things worse. So the addition of organic material without kind of the 3 staples, enzyme activity, nutrient cycling, and microbial diversity, is literally just kind of setting yourself up for disaster. Welcome to the soil factory, where I reuse all of my potting soil every single year. And this is also what I like to call my microbial ramp. What I mean by that is this is quite literally the launching board for making a soil that can thrive and survive on just organic fertilizer. Now, the reason for that is because older potting soils, generally speaking, are more broken down. They tend to not have as high porosity. They have a lot of diversity in the microbial biomass and the types of organic material in it, because I am literally taking every single pot, dumping out every single pot. And inside of every single pot is a different plant. We've got peppers, we've got tomatoes, we've got flowers, we've got vines, you name it. And with that, I leave a lot of it in. So, oh, that's a bee. I do not have flowers in this. I am sorry. But in that, we have some chunks that have to just simply be composted, but the rest of it, majority of it, does get broken down and whittled into something that can just mix in with the regular potting soil. Now, if we were to look at studies on composting, specifically nutrient bioavailability in composting, year 1, we show very negligible bioavailable nutrients in a compost that is only 1 year old. But as time progresses, more becomes bioavailable. So you can see why, as over time, you reuse your potting soil, you are able to accumulate different years of compost, if you will, which in turn will eventually turn into kind of a slow-release fertilizer that can actually be utilized by your plant. Now, here's the key. And to prove that point, actually, quite frankly, what I am going to be doing is I am getting agar dishes, and I'm going to be testing potting soil straight out of the bag, potting soil that has or synthetic fertilizer in it, and then potting soil that I've been reusing quite literally for over a decade. This is just cycled over and over again. And then I'm going to test regular soil as well. So if you want to see this video, what you need to do is you need to hit that subscribe button. You are subscribing to a real person dealing with real gardening issues. You are supporting a real person. It is the free thing to do. And I can't explain to you immensely how much this does help, how much hitting that subscribe button truly does help this channel. So I appreciate all of you who have hit it. And for those of you who have not yet hit it, I promise you, I will convince you eventually one day. Now, I do have videos on exactly what I do to revive my potting soil, but if you want an updated video, because I actually don't know how old that original video was, I will kind of tag it at the end of this in the kind of cards that you see. I go through exactly what I'm doing, how much perlite I re-add, what kind of compost I re-add, what kind of fertilizer I re-add, what soil I choose to actually throw away, etc., and so forth. So if you want to watch that, like I said, wait till the end of the video. There will be a card on the screen. Click that, and that will take you to this video where I actually do reuse the potting soil. Let's talk about what I realistically do with my garden as someone who, I don't want to say I understand it in its entirety because I think that's very arrogant to say, but I have a pretty good understanding about soil nutrition and soil science. And so things like synthetic fertilizers do not scare me. Pesticides, that's a different story, but synthetic fertilizer, plants don't really know the difference. And so I'm not scared of a synthetic fertilizer, which is why I use the dual fuel system method, as I like to call it. Now, the dual fuel system method means, quite simply, we're using organic and we are using synthetic fertilizers. Here's the thing. You can play with this dual fuel system in a number of different ways. One way you can play with the dual fuel system is early in the season to get immediate results for your plants, to get them through things like transplant shock or the stress of transplanting, cool nights, hail, weather that's all over the map because you're in a northern climate. Then you can use a liquid fertilizer, a synthetic liquid fertilizer in your potting soil that you have added compost and manures to. This will literally be a springboard effect to that dual fuel system. Mid-season to end of season, you could choose to stop using that liquid fertilizer because that's kind of when a lot of the organics, if you're reusing your potting soil, will begin to kick in. The thing here is that organic and synthetic fertilizers used in conjunction very rarely, if used correctly, will result in any sort of fertilizer burn. So if the recommendation for organic fertilizer is X amount, and then you add the synthetic version of that in X amount, you're usually going to be okay. There's not going to be any issues. And I do know for a fact that many people on the Geek Crew actually do reuse potting soil very regularly. So Geek Crew, please let me know in the comments down below, along with anyone else watching this video, exactly how you go about reusing your potting soil. How old is your reused potting soil? I'd be curious to know. And I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.